Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the tongue diagnosis, TCM and tongue diagnosis webinar. And I'm very happy to have with me in Norwich, our very own Basti Deans.
Hello.
And the very lovely Carola Beresford-Cooke, who's joined us all the way from Wales, far out in the west of Wales.
Hi.
Okay, so here we are, tongue diagnosis for Shiatsu. There's going to be three main parts. There's going to be an introduction to the basic principles of TCM. So we're going to look at what Qi, blood, Yin, Yang, excess and deficiency are, what they mean. And then we're going to do an exercise, standing like a tree exercise. So if you can have some paper and pens ready for later on, that would be great. Basti's got his paper and pen ready. There we are. And then once we've got the basic ideas of TCM sorted, which is going to take about 10 minutes, right? then we're going to go into the tongue diagnosis, because really the tongue diagnosis doesn't really make much sense unless you've got at least a basic idea of TCM and what it means, what they actually mean. That's right, isn't it, Basti?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm listening to Basti here because he's our resident expert on the tongues in Norwich. 59%. So we've got the majority of people are either very unconfident or unconfident, or you know, and we've only got 21% are confident or very confident. Okay, so the vast majority of you either neutral, unconfident, or very unconfident. So we're going to take it nice and slowly to start with, and then hopefully those of you who are confident and very confident can ask very difficult questions at the end. Okay, so what we thought we'd do first of all is just have a look at these concepts. We're going to kind of go through them. And Carol and I have already had a discussion about this in the rehearsal. So if I just quickly go through them, we have all these.
A bit argumentative.
You are, yes, you are. Yeah, Carol is known for being argumentative and very pedantic about everything. So I have my work severely marked. and this is actually a revised copy of my slides, by the way. I'm glad I went through them in the rehearsal. Yeah. Okay. So I thought we'd look at these things first, just to get an idea of what they are, because it's not much use saying, oh, that tongue means it's blood deficient, if you don't know what blood deficient means.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the idea. Okay. So first of all, Carola, the thing is that Qi, the word Qi is a difficult one because it has a very big meaning. It can mean universal Qi, can't it? It can be massive. But when it's used with syndromes, it's got more of a limited meaning, similar to blood.
It's got specific functions in the body. It's not just everything, because everything is Qi. But in the body, it does things like warming, energizing, protecting, supporting, things like that. So quite specific. Yes. It's like the electricity that's sort of like huge in the pylons that go across the world. But then when it comes down into your toaster, it does very specific things.
Yes. Yeah, there we are. So yes, it's like an energizing force, protecting. I hadn't thought of that. Of course it is, because the way Qi is a protective force, isn't it? Yeah. And Qi and blood are often thought of being kind of two sides of the same thing, aren't they? Because they're so connected. I always remember the Tai Chi classics. They say the mind leads the Qi and the Qi leads the blood.
Yeah.
So when you're doing a Qigong and you send the mind down, the Qi and the blood follow because they're so closely connected. And sometimes I know
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, yeah, go on.
Well, I was just going to say the main thing that helps you realize that the meaning of blood in TCM is if you think about blushing. Because there really isn't a Western explanation about how this can happen, except, oh, this hormone does this. But there's no explanation of how linked the blood is to your feelings and the movement of energy in your body.
Right, of course, yes.
So it has this real psychological component, blood.
Yes.
Red stuff.
No, that's right. Yes. And it's very emotionally linked as well because of the Shen and all the rest of it, isn't it? Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So yin and yang, again, massive topic, probably even bigger than Qi. But when it comes down to the syndromes, it's more to do with the temperature, isn't it? Generally.
A lot to do with temperature, but also very, very important activity.
Activity, right.
Lots of activity, yang, less activity, less yang. And yin should be like rest and relaxation.
Right. Okay. Yes. Nurture. That's the nurturing side of it, isn't it? Yeah. So you can see that yin and yang and blood and Qi are kind of like parallel in a way, aren't they? They're kind of like parallel things. Okay, this is my deficiency slide. I think the important thing when we're shiatsu practitioners, because we're so used to Kyoin Jitsu and all that kind of thing, which is another huge topic, which we can go to another time. It's important to remember that Qi and blood can only be deficient. And I remember Paul saying that years ago when we were doing the Shiatsu College residentials. The reason that they can only be deficient is you can't have too much of a good thing. So Qi and blood, you just want lots of them. You want a lot of movement and you want a lot of nurturing and nourishing as well.
What you mean is they can never be excess.
That's it. Yeah, they can't be excess.
Or there can be other things going on with them, but they can't be excess.
Yes, right, exactly. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they can be stuck, of course, but that's another thing. And deficiency is a lack of a vital substance, and in this case, it's Qi on blood. So when you say like deficient blood, it means that there's a deficiency of blood or deficiency of Qi. And that's how the syndromes are built up, as we'll find out later. In contrast, we have excess, and that's too much of something that you don't want. And that's usually either too much heat that's come in or generated through emotional factors,
or alcohol,
diet, environment, central heating, and all that kind of thing. Living, in fact, I had a client just today, had a damp condition caused by the fact that where she was working was literally running with damp, and that, so it can just be a cause of disease. And then Qi can be stagnated, and that's an excess thing. The obvious thing is liver Qi stagnation, where you've got an excess condition, and it's because it's obstructed. Okay, so what does it all mean? Let's have a look. One of my biggest strengths and faults is I like to make things simple. I like to have a nice simple table so that I can understand it, but it can be it has two sides to it. So let's see. Okay, so if you have Qi deficiency, that basically means you are going to be tired, because as Carola said, the Qi is to do with movement and to do with energy and warmth and that kind of thing. So tiredness is a given. If you have blood deficiency, you're still going to get tired because there's a deficiency. So you haven't got enough blood, and blood and Qi are like that, remember? But the key symptom, and I found a great picture of someone looking very restless there, is that you'll get tiredness and restlessness because the blood is like a calming quality that anchors the Shen.
Can I don't add something there? That
yes, of course,
other things that are really, very common in our clients, Shiatsu clients, and that you can look out for. Blood can make you feel quite dissatisfied because you're not being nourished, and you don't know why you're not being nourished.
Yes.
So that's an emotional quality, but also physical qualities. You can have really dry hair or limp hair, and your nails are going to tend to be fragile and brittle, things like that. So blood deficiency is a physical thing as well.
Yes, right. Okay, yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Dissatisfaction, yes.
And there's that classic term of the blood lubricating the nails, the hair, the joints.
Yes.
So that sort of dryness in feeling as well as in actual body parts.
Yes, you can have a brittleness in how you feel as well. You can be brittle, can't you? And Okay, so yin deficiency. is tired because it's a deficiency. See how it's building up here? Restless because it's blood deficient and gone a little bit further. And then because yin is the cooling aspect, there could be a tendency towards heat, but it's an empty heat. It's not a full heat, like if you got heat from the outside.
So if you have full heat, you're going to be red-faced, thirsty for cold drinks, etc., etc. If you've got empty heat, maybe just your feet get hot at night, or you'll say, oh, I don't know, my chest gets hot sometimes, or you'll just be hot some of the time, like, oh, I get hot in the afternoon. That's
right. Okay. Yes.
Little bits of heat.
Little bits of heat and little bits of time. Whereas with full heat, it's full on. Yeah. That's why I got that picture of a little bit of heat just amongst a lot of black.
Very good.
Okay. Okay. So yang deficiency, we have tiredness because it's a deficiency. And we have cold, a feeling of cold because there's not enough yang or heat to warm things up. Okay. So it's like an empty cold. How would you differentiate the empty cold? Would that be a similar thing? Not as strong as cold from the outside, or?
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. And the other thing is, you know, we talk about the deficiency, but if you've got a yang deficiency, you're much more likely to get cold coming in, so you'll have excess cold as well. So, but that's right, it all gets much less simple than you would like, Cliff.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Actually, Shubha just says that hot flashes you get in the menopause are yin deficiency. They're going back to yin deficiency. Yeah. And that is it, yes. It's because in TCM, menopausal symptoms are basically kidney yin deficiency. But so you're absolutely spot on there, that's right. Okay, now look, here's my very simple table. I like simple tables because you can see that how it develops. You know, you've got qi and blood in the middle, and that goes out to yin and yang deficiency. And because they're all deficient, qi deficiency is tiredness. Because blood is nurturing, you're going to get restlessness and tiredness. And then as you go to the extremes, then yin deficiency is an extreme form of blood deficiency. So you're going to get tiredness, restless, and maybe hot in different places at different times. And the other way, if you're yang deficient, you're going to have less yang energy going on. And so you're going to get tired and cold. So that's my sort of summary.
Can I ask something here?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I'm just marginally interested. Is there any way that one could end up with yin deficiency without having gone through blood deficiency first?
I don't know. Can you do that? What do you think?
What do you think, Carola?
I think you can, yes.
I think it, because I'm thinking about clients.
The basic yin and yang of the body are all produced by the kidneys. So
yes.
That is failing in some way, then you could go straight to yin deficiency.
Yes, if it's a kidney.
Affected all the organs that make the blood.
Yes, that's it. Yes, it all depends on the way.
It's probably most likely that blood deficiency will be part of the picture if someone turns up with the signs of yin deficiency. But it could be more direct from a kidney source.
Yes. Yes. So if it's a more empty heat or a more empty cold thing, and there's less restlessness involved, I suppose then it would indicate it. Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's go. Georgina says she can only hear us and not you, Carola. I don't know if anyone else is having problems hearing Carola. If you are, let us know, and we will try and put her up a bit. But I think I can hear her fine here, so it might be a local thing. Let's have a look. Okay.
I'll come close to the screen.
Oh yeah, some people are finding you. Yeah, could you maybe turn it up, turn the volume up a little bit? We can sort it out when we do the recording anyway. So.
With that, Matt, I don't know how to turn up the volume on my thing.
No. Okay.
Anyway. Can you turn me up? Got it.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, Carol, they're saying that so maybe we'll talk quieter.
We'll talk a bit quieter.
Yeah, too much if we don't. Yeah, so just to summarize, excess means one of two things: too much of what we don't want, like an external pathogenic factor, or something's stuck; it's in the wrong place. So this is because this is a question that's often asked, isn't it? Like, what's the difference between someone who's tired with deficiency or tired with stagnation? And the classic question to ask is, when is it better? Yeah. So if it's better for rest, then it's deficiency, because you basically need to restore your energy. And if it's better for movement, that means it's because you're stagnated and you're blocked. So people who exercise and that actually reflects quite a lot on the way that you do the shiatsu as well, because obviously if it's a stagnation thing, you want to use more moving techniques. And if it's a deficiency thing, you don't really want to be over moving people, do you? You want to be tonifying their energy. So, okay. And then the other question is, if you've got excess heat or excess cold, how do you know? And generally the easy thing to ask is it better for cold or better for heat? Yeah. Okay, so there we are. This is the summary. Ki is moving energy, warming energy. Blood is nourishing energy. Yin is cold or cooling or nurturing. Yang is heat or warming.
Relaxing.
Sorry?
Relaxing. Yin is relaxing energy.
Yeah, yin is relaxing energy. Yeah, okay, relaxing. And excess is too much of something bad that you don't want. And deficiency is too little of something that's good that you do want. Okay, so the sound's balanced out better now, so that's all right.
I found my volume button.
Great. Okay, good. Yeah, we're in. Yeah, we'll fix that. We can fix the recording anyway. We'll fix the audio and the recording. Okay, energy exercise. Okay, so do you want to get your piece of paper out? And Basti's going to do it, and I'm going to go through the slides and talk you through the exercise. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to get my piece of paper in my pen. I'm going to move to the back of the room
so you can see. Yeah. Okay, here we go. So if you like to just stand up and follow the exercise. Yeah, that's brilliant. Okay. By the way, if you definitely know you're yin or yang deficient, and if you have any serious health issues, you can maybe not do this exercise or stop at any time. Okay, so we're going to imagine that we're like a tree. We're standing like a tree. Okay, I'm going to imagine we're standing like a tree. I want you to think of the roots. So if you look at that picture of the roots, it gives a really good idea of the energy of the roots going down and connecting with the earth's energy. Okay, so just for a moment, imagine you've got roots going down from kidney 1 down into the earth. And that's a bit like the blood, or a bit like the yin coming up through the roots, cooling and nurturing and calming your whole body. Okay, now keeping that energy, that nurturing energy there, then you can just move the upper part of your body like branches. Just move them around. That's it. And that movement represents the yang. You can imagine yang energy coming in from above. Okay, and then try and combine them. So you've got the sunlight on your leaves, the wind moving your branches. That's it. Okay, so you've got a nice balance between the roots and the movement, connecting to the earth. Okay, so now what I'd like you to do is keep the movement going, but cut the connection with the roots. So imagine that someone's cut through the roots and see what that feels like. Whoa, Basti fell over then. That's it. And just see what that happens to your energy. Okay, now bring the roots down again. Bring the root energy back down, connect with the roots. That's it. So you're nice and balanced. And now cut the connection with the heavens. So you've got no movement, just the roots connecting you with the earth and with the fluids of the earth, the sap coming up, but there's no movement, no warmth from the sun. Okay. And then I think just to finish off, we'll just go back to being a tree again. Go back to becoming a whole tree like this, standing like a tree, just to finish off. That's it. And then you can just shake out and finish up. Okay, so if you'd like to write down now, write or draw how you felt when we cut off the connection with the roots and we cut the connection with the heavens. And then we'll just have a quick look. Just give you a few minutes to do that, and then we'll come back and get some feedback in the chat. Yeah, so we're getting some people in the chat now. Unstable, feeling it in the solar plexus, unsupported, colder, cut the roots and felt queasy. Yeah, restless. Okay, yeah. So when you cut the earth connection, I'll come back into the frame now. When you cut the earth connection, did you feel any of these? Lack of nourishment, lightheaded or dizzy? Light wild arms, no strength. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of sort of like empty. That's a kind of like an empty heat in, isn't it? With the wild arms and the movement. That's like an empty heat thing. Light-headed, dizzy. And whether you felt, did you feel any? Yeah, quite a lot of people felt different temperatures. I think that's a great. I think that Tracy is great. Wild arms and no strength. Basically, if you felt that kind of thing, if you felt heat going up when we cut off the connection with the earth, that's kind of like a yin deficiency thing. You might have felt little flashes of heat. If you felt restless, that's more like a blood deficiency thing.
It did feel very empty.
It's a very strong exercise, isn't it? Yeah, and it's quite interesting as well because when Sue said that when we cut the connection to the branches, I felt like I was going nowhere in life. That's an extreme form of yang deficiency. No energy to do anything. What did you get, Basti? Do you want to have a look?
Yeah, so I'll hold up. First of all, when I cut off, I don't know whether you can see this too well.
You might be able to, yeah.
Hold
there
up.
we are.
There you go. Yeah. So as if no roots, very unstable, as if I was going to fall over sideways.
Yeah.
And I felt like everything was just a bit thin. I could have been blown over very easily if there was a strong wind.
I thought you were going to fall over. I thought you were going to fall over.
I actually almost did fall over. And then when the above was cut, then very thick and heavy in the base.
Yeah.
And upper part of me felt like it was just kind of fading slightly, as if I was going to start, as if a tree was dying from the top down.
Yeah. You get that with yang deficiency, don't you? When you get...
I got a kind of drained feeling. It was draining. Everything was draining out of me.
Oh, did you? What, when we cut the yang thing? When we cut the connection? Yeah. Okay, good. So we'd like to do practical exercises to make it a bit more connected. And we've now got 35 minutes left to cover the whole of tongue diagnosis.
Great.
I'm optimistic. Optimistic. Okay, so here we go.
Well, it's very simple, actually. Tongue diagnosis is quite simple.
Oh, great. Okay, Carola, that's what we like.
Yeah, simple.
Yeah.
We like simple.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And it is.
Yeah. Okay, so these are all slides that Basti and I put together, and they're part of the TCM course, which is ongoing at the moment. It's one of our ongoing online courses. And there's some more advanced stuff and more application on the online course. But this is the one that Basti and I put together. We spent a whole morning, didn't we, looking at tongues?
We did. We did. It gets quite hard after a while. If you're just...
When you're looking at them for like 2 or 3 hours, you just think, oh, please. Okay.
It is incredibly interesting looking at tongues. I think.
Yes. And there we are.
There we are. So what the main reasons why I look at tongues or use them in sessions is it can help to confirm a syndrome, a pattern, with the questions that you've been asking with them and the signs that they may be presenting. It's always good to get several areas of confirmation, I find. It's a direct link to the internal movements of chi, the organs and things that are going on. Yeah. It's like the inside of their body can actually be kind of presented to the outside directly. And with that, getting an idea of the syndromes and patterns can help guide recommendations. So give them something to work with for themselves. So it's always a useful thing.
Yeah. And do you ever recommend that people look at their tongues and sort of check to see how they're progressing and things like that? Do you get them to look at their own tongues or not really?
I don't encourage it actually all that much. However, I've noticed that a few people have come back and said, I was looking at my tongue the other day, because when I've asked to see their tongue, they often go, why are you looking at my tongue? You know.
Yeah, they want to know what's going on.
You find out.
Them. Yeah. Okay, cool.
The reason we do it is we want to know what's going on, because I think it's really helpful when people come in and they're like, you know, I'm so dissatisfied, and you think, oh God, is that wood element, or is it, you know, you just don't know. And then you look at the tongue and you go, that's what it is.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so this is the first stage, I guess. This is the map, isn't it? This is the map, and they're all pretty much the same. Do you want to just say something about this then?
Yeah, I mean, the simplest way of looking at it is, as with so many things when looking at the different parts of the body, you've got the 3 burning spaces. You've got the upper, right at the tip, the heart and lungs. You've got the middle burner with the stomach, spleen, and the liver and gallbladder at the sides. And then at the root of the tongue, you've got the lower burner with the kidney, bladder, and intestines, which I have to admit I do find quite hard to read sometimes, but partly that's because people don't always offer so much of their tongue.
Don't you bully them? I bully them. I say, can you stick it out a bit further, please?
I do. Sometimes I have to just encourage them to just, you know, can I see more, please?
But that's the spirit of the tongue, isn't it? I remember that day we had that really fun day when Carola came up and we were all sticking our tongues out. That was one of the main things. And then, of course, when you find out that spirit is all to do with how you stick your tongue out, everyone is trying to think, I don't want to have no spirit, so I better stick my tongue out really hard. Yeah. But that map is pretty straightforward, isn't it? It's kind of like the person's upside down in a way, isn't it? With the upper burner at the tip, if you see what I mean. Can you imagine the body being like that? Okay, so that's the first thing. So I guess the next thing is, what are we going to see? What are we actually going to see? We've got all of these different things.
Yeah, lots that you can look for.
Yeah.
So the color of the tongue body, that can tell quite a lot, which we'll go into in a minute, as well as the actual shape of the tongue, which can be thickness, the sort of the roundness, the pointiness. We'll look at all of these things. Yeah. If there's movement of the tongue, which also leads into, we've written here, spirit of the tongue. Yeah. We've got the coating as well. So all of those things are mainly the tongue, the body of it. Yeah. And then you've got the coating over it. So the color and the thickness and the type of coating and any cracks that may be appearing, or if there's no coating at all. So they're all things that we can look for. Right. Okay. So let's have, without further ado, let's have a look at some. Yeah. Here we go. Okay. Right. So what have we got? Color of the body. So I think the main thing, it's in a way, it's getting used to seeing what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So there's red, which is quite obvious in this picture, or red dots on over a lot of the parts or small parts of the tongue, and they're all signs of heat. Mm-hmm. The next obvious thing is, if we just look conversely to the bottom right, you've got a pale pink, almost leading towards a sort of a bluish tone, and that's obviously cold.
Okay.
And then when the tongue shows stagnation, it tends to be a bit more mauve to purple. Mm-hmm. But you can get very particular dots of purple, which I believe is more of a sign of blood stagnation. But Carola, I need to ask you on that one. Would you
you can have generalized stagnation, or you can have specific stagnation. And I would think probably, if you've got it in a specific place, then it probably is going to be blood more than qi. You can get stagnation of qi that just makes you generally feel really irritable and frustrated when it's on the emotional level. But when it gets physical, it might go to the stomach or somewhere like that.
Yeah. Oh, and then you'll see it on the map, you mean? You'll see that colour on the map.
Exactly. Could I just say, I mean, I know that you have a slide about this later on in here, but just to establish that the tongue body represents your basic self and your vital substances, whereas the coating is any excess that might have come in. So that's why we're distinguishing, looking at the body and looking at the colour of the body and looking at the colour of the coating.
Oh, right. So the body is your actual sort of like the energy you actually have in your actual body kind of thing.
Yes, it's
the coating
is the condition of your vital substances.
I see.
And it's normal to have a very thin white coating, which is just a normal amount, because we take things in all the time. You've got food in your stomach, so that's sort of
right. Oh, I see. That's normal.
Yeah.
Little bit.
Would you say, to use some of the terms that we often come across, the tongue body is more interior and the coating more exterior, or is that a different way of is that not quite?
God, I never thought of that one.
I don't know whether
that takes us down a very complicated path, but I probably not.
Perhaps that's something to leave for another time. But I like the description of saying in the main part of ourselves and the vital substance is the sort of body of the tongue.
Yeah. Okay. So what about the shape of the tongue then? Because people have very different shapes, don't they?
Yes. And something we often see in this first one is the tongue can look a bit puffy, maybe a bit swollen, and also have those teeth marks, sort of scallop shell marks along the side. And this is a sign of qi deficiency, but most especially damp forming. And it's sort of almost swelling the tongue and looking a bit sort of saggy, pressed against the teeth, rather than being buoyant with qi.
Okay.
A long pointed tongue is a bit more, as far as I'm aware, a bit more of a sign of heat, almost kind of, coming out. But with the tip pointing, it's especially coming towards the heart, because if you remember in the map, the very tip of the tongue is the heart.
Right. Okay. So if you see that's red.
Yeah.
This tends to be really kind of constitutional heat. If you're the sort of person who's, really somebody that we would say in element terms was very fiery. They very often have. Yeah. And they're people who are going to be prone to get excess heat because they've got this natural tendency.
I've got a question here. Dico said he thought that teeth marks indicated a spleen problem.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So if you've got damp, generally the deficiency, the qi deficiency, will be a spleen qi deficiency.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's where it tends to hit, doesn't it?
So you're absolutely right.
And of course, damp tends to affect the spleen as well. So you've got two things going on there. Yeah. And what about this thin tongue?
So a thin tongue, I mean, it's a funny one, but a tight tongue almost, I've seen as a deficiency of qi or blood, but you need more signs to kind of help you see more specifically whether it's one way or the other.
Okay, yeah.
I've always understood that it was mainly blood, and that you can see with that one, that's a great picture, because you can see that it's sort of kind of not filled properly, as if it was a balloon that wasn't blown up properly, or a cushion that wasn't filled properly. So that would really be an example of not being nourished.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is definitely a constitutional thing. The shape of the body is, I guess, because it's the actual physical shape, it's not going to change that much in your life. Does it change much, really?
It can do.
It can?
It can change.
As you change your...
It'll never change 100%, but it really can change. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. As your energy changes, I suppose, and your deep energy changes. Yeah.
We had an interesting question here from Lucy. When the scallops, the teeth marks, are just on the liver area, does that mean there's spleen damp with liver something else going on? When we see things in specific areas to the sides in those teeth marks, I would still just personally look at it mainly as a case of spleen qi deficiency, but would definitely ask another question about liver-related stuff. If nothing else is coming up, though, then most likely there's nothing serious.
You can get dampness in the gallbladder as well. So
that's a point. Yeah, you can.
You can. I mean, it's like gallstones would be an example of coagulated damp in the gallbladder. So,
right.
But
yes.
obviously, the spleen is the source of it, because if the spleen isn't transforming the food properly, you will get dampness forming. It's gone there. So it's both, really. I would.
Right. Okay. Cool. Next thing. All right, movement. Yes. So short of having a video.
Yes. A tongue, when it shows itself and it's just completely inactive, just kind of
sort of falls out.
and there's sort of almost there's not a lot of presence to it as well. I find tends to be qi deficiency. This next term, present but still, is quite healthy. You know, that's what we're looking for. There's a presence to it.
Okay.
It's partly alive, but it's just quite rested as well. And then we've got quivering, which is more of a blood deficiency, or can be a yin deficiency. And of course, you'd need that sense of how cold are they, how warm are they, to get that sense of yin deficiency, or whether it's just blood. And then if it's snaking from side to side, diverting, or if it's just literally pointed off sideways, that's a bit more serious, because then the heart is not presenting directly, it's kind of being affected in some way.
I'd like to add to those last two. I think the quivering is a real example. Do you remember how qi, one of the qualities of qi is that it supports?
Yes.
It holds things like your tree, you know, alive but stable. So you've got a strong and stable tongue. But if you haven't got qi there, then it will quiver and shake. And
it's very similar to that exercise we did, isn't it, when we cut the roots off? Same sort of thing. That's like the whole tongue's going.
Okay.
And the snaking, you know, a tongue that actually moves from side to side, that's when you've got internal wind, which is really sort of like emptiness. It's emptiness actually gone pathological. And that's really quite serious. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So it's the emptiness that's causing the moving, because there's nothing there to hold it.
Right. Okay. So the wind goes in, the wind comes in, doesn't it? Yeah, because that's often the case with wind, isn't it? It comes into a blood deficient situation. It kind of gets into the gaps, kind of thing, and the channels and stuff like that. Yeah, because you would think of it, because initially looks a bit like an excess condition as well, because you think of it as being too much wind in there. But actually you can get wind
that's created internally, just empty.
Yes,
the sort of
exactly, like Parkinson's, for example, is a classic example of that. You know, I've actually got a client at the moment I'm working with Parkinson's at the moment, and they're not they've decided not to take the medication, which is very unusual, and they're doing the client's having shiatsu and qigong healing in here.
Right.
And it's been really, really interesting. We're getting some really interesting results.
Okay.
Yeah. And in fact, actually, we videoed it. Those of you who are following the observed treatment sessions, we've actually videoed one of the sessions he very kindly offered to have one of the sessions videoed. So we've got that coming up as an observed treatment seminar. Yeah, it's been amazing, because I've been doing a lot of research into Parkinson's and that. And so I'm really interested in that side of things. Okay. So now what's the next thing? Oh, what have we got now?
So now we've got
the spirit.
Yeah. And again, this is difficult because we've got some pictures which show a little bit, but it's not like you can really see them bring their tongue out.
No.
This first one, it doesn't look like her tongue's coming out much at all. And also you can see it's very pale. So there's something of a deficiency there. But it's lacking strength. It's not kind of, coming straight out. The next one, nice. It's present, looks alive.
It's got a normal coating as well, actually, hasn't it? It's not too red or too
That's nice. That coating that's almost like a sort of a veil.
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day, it is like a thin veil on the tongue as a kind of a healthy coating, which we'll come to soon, I think. And the last tongue you can see, very much forced out as a bit of most likely an excess.
Yeah, it looks a bit purple as well, doesn't it? It could maybe be a bit of stagnation there as
Possibly.
well.
It's definitely redder, and the coating is a lot thicker and looks a bit drier, so it could be some heat going on.
Just going back one step, I've just seen something in the chat here. We've got, is quivering a sign of wind? Is quivering a sign of wind?
Not traditionally. It's just a sign of key deficiency.
Key deficiency. Okay.
Key deficiency.
Depends how much it's quivering. I mean, if it's kind of like quivering like that. Don't worry.
Yeah, there's this little quiver, and you could, I suppose, we're a completely, darting one way and the other is a very extreme quivering. Very.
Yeah.
I'd call that a moving tongue, a snaking one.
Yeah. Oh, look, Nigel said there's also a difference in how much teeth they're showing, but I don't know. Yeah, that's true. I hadn't noticed that, but that's absolutely true. Look, I hadn't noticed that before, but actually, because the mouth being opened wider.
In the last one.
Yeah, there's more teeth showing each one. I hadn't seen that. Well spotted. Well spotted. I hadn't seen that at all.
One last comment on Dieter's question of the quivering, a sign of wind and that sort of thing. Almost all of these things, they kind of rest on how many signs are coming together to show a picture.
Yes.
So if they've got no other signs of wind or liver-related things, it's most likely going to be the deficiency picture. It doesn't mean it can't have both. You can have some key deficiency and you can have some wind effect, but it's most likely going to be showing one more than another depending on the signs building up.
Yeah.
So you can sort of ask questions alongside looking at tongues.
Yeah, it all starts to. Oh.
Here we go. This is where the tongue picture starts to get a little bit harder to look at sometimes.
Yeah, and this is the coating, the color of the coating. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
The coating refers to anything excess that has come in.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's worth remembering, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that's excess that's come in. Yeah.
But
okay. So what?
It's great because it's something you can usually do something about. Deficiency is harder to deal with. For excess, you can sort of say things like, well, maybe you could think about drinking less beer, or well, maybe you wouldn't say that.
But yes, you can. If for instance, this first tongue, very thick, but very white. And as far as I'm aware, a very white tongue is a sign of cold. Would you agree with that?
The coating.
It doesn't even have to be very white or even bright white, just white. Yeah, not yellow.
Right, just white and thick white coating.
White equals not yellow to me.
Yes, yeah. Right, yeah, of course, yeah.
The next one we see, natural white, normal. That's that thin sort of veil of a natural coating. The next one, yellow. There's that clear indication of heat. If ever you see yellow, even a very mild yellow in a part of the coating is a sign of heat.
Shall we do a quick poll to see what people think? Is it is it in the where is it in the body? Where is the heat?
I can do that. Yeah, I can make a poll. So we've got to have different options, Carola. So
well, don't worry, we haven't got enough time. But
no, it's fine. I'm going to do it. Yeah. Okay. Where in the body is the heat? Question mark.
Yes.
Okay. Option one. Give us three options.
Heart.
Option two.
Stomach. Intestines.
And okay, intestines. Okay, hope everyone's ready for this. This is a question from Carola. We're going to share it now. Where in the body is the heat? Anyone want? Yes, here we go.
Here we go.
Oh, right. They're all coming in now.
Very good, everybody. It's not really going to the tip, is it? The coating isn't really going to the tip or the sides so much. So it's more like the center of the tongue and the root of the tongue. So that's the use of knowing the map of the body. So then
going back to that idea of
maybe something they're eating or not eating.
Ah, right. So where do you think it is? Do you think it's more the intestines then?
The root. It's kidney.
The root,
intestines.
Yeah. Is it not quite? It's not. There is a little bit of yellow in the stomach, though, isn't there? Wouldn't you say in the middle?
Yes.
Stomach and intestines. Yeah. So stomach and intestines. The heart, not so much, because it would be more right on the tip there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, we can do that again. If you get any questions, I can type them straight up. Very good. Like a bit of interaction there.
We just need to have a mention on this last tongue.
Yeah.
Although in all of the looking at tongues, I've only come across one. Yeah. There's grey or even black on the coating of the tongue, and that's an extreme picture, but it could be either heat or cold. But it is so extreme that I would personally recommend they see a doctor if I saw that. And I have seen it once, but I know that it was an elderly gentleman who had literally seen the doctor the day before, and he had a bit of bronchitis.
Oh, right. Okay.
At the time, so he was,
I've only seen it once as well, and that was in a 94-year-old lady.
Oh, and Martin says only seen a black tongue with someone after they had a stroke. Joy said it can be the side effects of antibiotics.
That's true.
It could be, because you've got the cold and
where it can also kind of become brown, can't it, with that sort of effect?
What about this question about dryness? There we are, Fran Robinson's question about dryness of the tongue, no coating. What do you think?
Well, Basti, wouldn't you agree? I mean, dryness essentially means that there's some heat present.
Yes.
So drying up
dryness and heat will go together. Yeah. In fact, I think we're going to see that
see what we've got next
in something of the next slide.
Oh, here we are, right on cue. Thickness of the coating.
So we haven't actually put it down. Apologies, but I was going to mention on this next slide about dryness, either on this one or the next one. I can't remember. We've got a couple of interesting tongues to look at. Now, this top one, no coat whatsoever. And I've put Yin Deficiency There's definitely heat. There's definitely heat.
Because it's so red, you mean?
It's you'll always see a completely peeled tongue,
right?
To call it peeled, with redness,
right?
Or as far as I'm aware, you will. And
I'm sorry. I think sometimes you can see a tongue that's kind of almost like a normal color, but it's got no coating on it at all.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. And what does that mean then?
Well, that means that there's a yin deficiency, but it hasn't produced empty heat. That's why I wanted to.
I see. Yeah.
Just gone as far as the sort of just beginning to be this sort of restless emotional energy that hasn't yet manifested as heat.
Right. Okay. Yes. Yes. Yeah. We've got loads of comments in the chat, especially about black tongues. That seems to have really hit a nerve.
Yeah.
Alcoholics, antibiotics,
a black stripe smoking.
Or Marge says it has peeled spots, like after the yin deficiency has started to heal. Oh yeah, because you can get patches, can't you? I've seen that, patches of coating sort of.
We're going to look at patches in a minute.
Okay, patches are coming up, Martin. Okay, hang on for the patches.
So there's definitely yin. So would you say definitely yin deficiency with no coat, Carola? Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Right, good.
We have an agreement for definitely. And even thickness, we've already talked about that sort of sense of like a thin veil or a thin something that you can just see. And then a thick coating, more of an excess. And we have a sense of a thick white being cold and a thick heat yellow coat being heat.
Okay. All right, here we go. This is the peeling bit.
Here we go. Peeling or patchy. And that is often signs of heat, that it's in the process of peeling the coat off, or it's in a process of healing where the coating is kind of coming back in areas. And
so what would you say it was then? You think it's the yin of the body trying to re-establish itself kind of thing? Is that what's happening? That as they heal, are patches of the coating, is that like kind of gaps in the yin kind of thing? So it's a start of the yin deficiency, or what?
This is where my knowledge runs out.
Well, I think it's more to do, it's more localized.
Depending on where the patches are?
Depending on where the patches are, exactly.
Ah,
so
right, okay, I see.
Definitely yin deficiency. It may be that there's sort of, in this particular tongue, for example, that it may be that the stomach is beginning to re-establish some kind of normal functioning, and so there's a coating beginning to grow back over the stomach area, for example.
Yes.
Or it could be that there's, really a big peeled area in the root, which is the kidneys, and then more in the sort of lungy area, particularly.
Yeah, it looks like in the upper, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
So you can either, you'd have to find out more, wouldn't you?
Yeah, from asking.
Yeah, that's where.
And what about the greasy one? That's damp, presumably, but it looks horrible, doesn't it? That one.
Yeah, that one does look quite.
Greasy tongues don't always have spots on. That one, one does. But
this one has lots of spots, which is heat. But you can.
There's a shiny quality to the coating on a greasy
tongue. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It quite literally, as it says, looks a bit greasy.
Yeah. Okay, here's some cracks.
Yeah.
We've just got 5 minutes left. We're getting to the end of the slide, so we're doing all right.
So here's the first one, very nice and obvious in the stomach area. And that would be I would see it as a deficiency in the chi of the stomach and spleen.
Do you agree with that, Carola? Yes?
And it can, not always. This one doesn't really, but we saw one earlier, the one we had a pole on where it was yellow, may have a bit of coating sort of going on in there. And that would show then that you've got that sort of excess of something, especially if it's greasy, then probably the damp.
And it's swollen and there are teeth marks. So this is a spleeny problem.
Right. Yeah. Okay. What do you, Francesca wants to know, what do you think about tongue cleaning? Is it correct for the coating diagnosis? What happens if people scrape their tongues clean? It's going to affect the...
It makes it much harder to diagnose the tongue.
Right, yeah.
But equally,
so
I do wonder, because I'm doing it myself, and I do wonder if it doesn't actually have a cleansing effect on the body anyway, and help your body rid itself of excess. You just never know.
All right, yes, okay, yeah. And then we've got 2 more, haven't we? What's that?
So the center line reaching much more the full length of the body, of the tongue, and reaching all the way to the tip. And I find that this seems to be more of a constitutional thing, and it can often be affecting the heart in some way. It may not be a really strong effect, but a deficiency in some way that is affecting through to the heart. Would you agree with that, Carola?
Okay.
Yeah, I'd put it with like a long pointy one. It's sort of like a constitutional fiery sort of person.
Yeah. And then the last one,
horizontal cracks. Suzanne's asking about that. Yeah.
Here we go. So the cracks, the sort of general cracks, little striations or horizontal cracks, would be a sign of yin deficiency, and especially the heat coming through with that.
Right. Fabio wants to know if there's a relationship between tongue and hara diagnosis. Well, there can be. It's all to do with interpretation, isn't it?
Yeah.
So really, it's a case of getting the information from the hara, gives you information about how you're going to do the shiatsu. And then, as we said earlier, the tongue gives you that background, TCM type information. Okay, we've only got a couple of minutes left. So look what we've covered.
Yeah.
We've done it. Yeah, excellent. Well done. Well done. Brilliant. So we've covered all these things. And people are talking about tongue cleaning now. That's where we've got to now. Right. Okay. So there we are. This is the summary, isn't it? Remember? Yeah. Okay. And we just to go back to this.
So in the practice of looking at tongues, we assess all of the features. We try I try to allow my mind to be relatively clear and see what sort of presents itself most obviously first, and then assess the rest along with it. And we combine this information with any other signs and symptoms that they're presenting, whether it's what they've told us, what they look like, maybe we smell their breath as well, that can come into it, all those sorts of things. And we can put together a much larger cohesive picture.
Yeah, good. And everyone loved it. Look, we're getting loads and loads of fantastic thank yous in the chat. That's absolutely brilliant. And just to remind you, this is an active online course, Carola. We had a really fun day, didn't we, in here with Carola looking at tongues. We did a whole day, and Carola did some other stuff, points and things like that. And the course is open. It's still being developed. We've still got a few more modules to put up. And if you're interested in going deeper, you want to join us, then just check out newenergywork.com. If you're not already a member, a student or professional member, we'd love to have you on board. Okay, all the New Energy Work webinars like this one are all funded by our lovely members. So thank you. You know who you are, our lovely student and professional members, because nothing would happen if you weren't helping and supporting us. So a big thank you to you. And next Tuesday, we have Joyce Vlaarkamp from the Netherlands doing our European Shiatsu Congress linked webinar. Okay. But of course, I'd also, Basti and I would both like to say a massive thank you to Carola. Thank you so much, Carola.
Thank you to you.
Well,
I'd like to say a hello to all my friends out there, because I noticed quite a few names I know. So hi.
Yeah, oh good. Yeah, no, of course. Yeah.
And everyone else as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it's been so much fun. So much fun. We'll have to do it again sometime soon with another topic, maybe not tongues. Okay, I'm going to end the session. Thank you, everyone, and see you on another webinar soon. Thank you, Carola.
So much.
Yeah, bye-bye. Bye.
Goodbye.